Shalom. Call Haloyamla, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Bahasham, Racha Kodash, Brakata Yahweh, Brakata Yahweh Brakata Racha Kodash, Bahasham, Yahweh Bahasham, Racha Kodash. Shalom and double honors unto the elder apostles of Great Millstone. Shalom to the elders in the Akim, Wa Akwath. Shalom. I want to go into a quick video bringing out this new report, this announcement by the mayor here, the mayor of Chicago. He mentioned that beginning January 1st, 2023, which is in about, 3-4 months, that Chicago will pretty much be a lawless city now, because they'll no longer arrest people. They're going to just let them go from crimes. And he'll run down the crimes here in the video, but basically this is now being labeled in term the purge in reality here in America, Babylon the Great, because what the movie The Purge was about, an annual day every year, from sundown to sunrise the next morning for 12 hours. All crime is legal. Well, all crime is not legal, but you can commit any crime and won't be arrested for it, right? You can murder, and any other crime is perfectly fine and okay. And so that's what's now about to occur here, starting in Chicago. And we know that these major cities, the top most popular cities throughout this country, are there like testing grounds, experimental grounds, like California and here Chicago, and even like New York. But so it's going to start here in Chicago, basically going to be a precursor to what's going to come to the entire country. And we've been prophesying and saying it for years, saying like 911 is going to go out of service soon, and this is coming to fruition starting in Chicago, where basically they won't hold anyone accountable for any crimes anymore, pretty much murder on down. So we'll go ahead and play this video, grab a couple precepts, and I'll close out.
As of January 1st, 2023, the following things will go into effect, and people need to be aware of this. It abolishes cash bail for almost every offense. This includes, but isn't limited to, kidnapping, armed robbery, second-degree murder, drug-induced homicide, aggravated DUI, threatening a public official, and aggravated fleeing and eluding. Offenders released on electronic monitoring have to be in violation for 48 hours before law enforcement can act. They could almost drive to Alaska before we can even look for them. It denies victims their constitutional rights. And keep this in mind, businesses and homeowners. Officers will no longer be able to remove trespassers from your residence or your businesses. Someone could decide to live in your shed, and all we can do is give them a ticket. You have to decide what level of force is required to remove them and whether or not it's legal. As of January...
So there you have it. Esau, the so-called white man's the devil the Bible speaks of, and he set up society for failure because he's lied to all the women here in the society and brain polluted them and told them that they're independent, that they don't need a man, and they don't need and that they're they're the head. They can be the head of the household based off how much money they make. If they make more money than the man, they're the head, which is ignorance, which is blasphemy. And then all of the governmental assistance that they have at their fingertips, they must first do what? Kick the man out the house to receive like Section 8, a lot of money and food stamps. And so it's basically they put Eve, the so-called black woman and Hispanic woman and Native American woman, in the trick bag, because now because what was one of the first things that a woman would threaten you with? Calling the cops, and if she don't like something that you did, or she don't want to submit and everything, and go and just be an all-out monster and demon. And now she's all alone, and now 911 is basically about to go out of service for all major crimes. For he say not all, but most of them. But the main crimes that people commit will not be an offense anymore, starting in Chicago in January 1, 2023. So the main ones is going to be affected the most at risk and danger Endangered is the women and the children as well that these women have as well. You know, the single women, the single mothers that was proud and thought they were better without a man. And so kidnapping won't be a second degree murder, kidnapping, and we know who is at risk of getting kidnapped: women. You know, because men don't get kidnapped unless they, you know, a bunch of men come up against them. But you know, one man is kidnap a woman and children if he wanted. So these women are in for a rude awakening, you know, and have been greatly lied to. And they, you know, when you tell it, when we were telling them and pointed out, you know, they didn't want to believe it because they were so, you know, blinded by the serpent and their false doctrine until now. The serpent is now pulling the rug from underneath the so-called black woman, Hispanic woman, and Native American woman. So it's about to get real ugly for the woman especially. But the elect women will be, you know, protected in these times. But the majority of the women are about to be destroyed, like in that movie, The Purge, and men as well. You know, it's going to be just complete chaos. And so we'll start at Matthew chapter 24 and verse 12. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. And love is already waxed cold, but it's going to be the coldest entering in, even when Babylon the Great remove majority of their laws that restricts the sin from, you know, reaching its absolute animalistic worst. You know, because when there's no laws, what do man do? Resort to being like beasts. And we know Esau laws is, you know, fraudulent, unjust laws, but it kept the people in check to a degree. And when he remove it, it's going to get even worse. It's going to be the most base beast level in the history of mankind. And so right here, this is a prophecy from the Messiah. And that word abound here, when you get it, it means to grow. It's to increase, to multiply, to be increased. You know, multiply. So it's going to be the worst. It's going to increase even more. So when you think, because Chicago is like one of the worst cities in the country. It's called Chirac, like Iraq and the war over there, all the guns and you know, and the war over there. Because Chirac, Chicago is one of the worst gangs cities in the country. And the murder rate and capital, you know, the murder rate is through the roof. Is really insane, the level of gang wars and the gang murders that go on out there. And so it's already terrible now. And then when they're about to remove all the laws, and so they just want it to get like that so that they can usher in martial law and bring in, you know, the United Nations armies and usher in, you know, this military state. So they're doing this. This is all engineered, but this is all, you know, since 2020, the beginning of those lockdowns in 2020 was the shadow government steering this country down the road, and we're now at another phase in that road that's leading to the mark. But that phase right now is just the anarchy phase, where the society about to be completely broken down with no laws governing the people to keep them in check, you know. So right before leading up to that mandatory chip, and we know that December 13th, all this is going hand in hand. With less than a month going to kick in. December 13th, Biden books, or the you know, the digital dollar, digital money is about to be mandated. And then less than a month from that, January 1st, the law is about to be removed from Chicago, and then it's going to spread across the country as well, right? So about to be just complete. It's going to be the worst times in the history of mankind. It's just going to get worse and worse. And Trump, everybody fell for the lie with Trump talking about make America great again. No, it's about to be about to just corrode into the worst. The worst times ever here in America. Daniel chapter 12 and 1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the people of that stand up for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in a book. So these times are going to be worse and unlike any time in the history of mankind. And this is just another phase, just, where that's grown. It's just like a swelling effect, a snowball effect. It's going to get worse and worse. And this is another layer of that plague. And this is all ultimately coming from the Most High to destroy Babylon the Great for its wickedness. But the elect is going to be preserved through it all. It's going to be, terrible times, but the elect will get through it. So in 2nd Ezra 15 and 16 reads, it says, "For there shall be sedition among men," that means uprisings, and invading one another. And so people invade kind of right now one another already. It's going to get even worse when the laws are even, when this societal laws of the cops and everything, and that threat of going to jail is taken away. It's going to get even worse. "They shall not regard their kings nor princes." And they said, right, one of the laws says, threatening a public official, and that's going into their kings and princes, because public officials is a part of the higher ups and the ruling class people, and that's part of their princes. So you can threaten them as well, and average citizens. So, and then also he said a person can just enter into a business, can squat, basically sleep there, live there, or enter into somebody's home, and they won't do anything about it. And they're giving the power in the hand of whoever is owning that residence or that business, and they must decide what kind of force, deadly force with a weapon or whatever, and they must physically remove that person or have to kill them to get them out of their residence. And like I say, the women are going to suffer the most. All of these, these loose women, these whores, all these women that's been, dressed in all of these, revealing all their body, dressing in damn near nothing, right? Going out, teasing men and flaunting their body. Well, all these men, a lot of men have them marked and know their routine, know where they live. And when they hear stuff like this, they just count down the days till they can go and kick in their door, and nobody going to be able to do anything. And these proud women thinking that they don't need a man, that they're superior to a man, going to find out in the worst way. And these are the wicked women, not the women, sincere women that are doing their best. They're going to be protected. But, it's going to be hell on a woman, for men, women, and children, especially the women and children. But chiefly the wicked woman that's out of order right now, and totally out of her mind. It says, "They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power." So every man right now that want to do anything wicked, once these laws are removed, whatever their strength is, they're going to execute it. Those that are wicked, but the elect, you're going to just stay stabilized on the commandments of the Most High and not be harmed. And you're going to just stay put and let the Most High direct and guide them. From there, we'll go to Psalm 111 and verse 7. "The works of his hands are verity and judgment. All his commandments are sure." So the works of his hands are verity. So we go into that word verity. It's firmness, faithfulness, truth, sureness, reliability, stability, continuance. So it's stability. The Most High commandments in his word and his works is stability and faithfulness, because he's going to be faithful to those that keep his commandments and have that stabilizing foundation. And that goes and ties into Isaiah 33 and 6. "And wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai is his treasure." So it's going to be our treasure to fear the Most High. Well, leading up, we're storing up our riches in heaven, and not as vain man are doing, storing up their treasures in corruptible money. Right now in Babylon the Great, we're storing up our treasures in heaven, and so we can be able to withdraw from that account that we built up with the Most High, from the grace of the Most High and the mercy of the Most High through Yahushua. So it's going to be real ugly and real terrible for those that haven't been storing up treasures in heaven and making the commandments of the Most High their delight. And so we'll go back to 111 right quick. Psalms 111. It was one I wanted to look at. Verse 2. It says, we'll start at verse 1. It says, praise ye the Lord Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai. I will praise the Lord Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, with my whole heart. And that word heart goes into the Hebrew word lab, which means your mind, your inner mind. So you will praise the Most High with your whole mind. In the assembly of the upright, those that are keeping the commandments. And in the congregation, that's what the only congregation are the Israelites, the gathering of the Israelites. Verse 2, the works of the Lord Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, are great, sought out of all them that have pleasure therein. So only the elect have pleasure in the works of the Most High, and his works, as we read in verse 7, are verity and judgment, and all his commandments are sure. So those that take pleasure in the commandments of the Most High, and we go to Psalms 1 and 3, of 1 and 1. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly. All of these wicked men out here that's seeking after only Babylon the Great, rotten, riches. Nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the congregation, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. Verse 2 is the point. But his delight is in the law of the Lord Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, and in his law doeth he meditate day and night. So we're going to delight in the Most High's law, statutes, and commandments, which is going to be our stability in these terrible times to come. First Chronicles 16 and 22. It says, we'll start at verse 21. He suffered no man to do them wrong. Yeah, he reproved kings for their sakes. This is talking about the Israelites, saying, touch not mine anointed, and do my prophets no harm. So the anointed is going into the whole 1/3 is the anointed, and the prophets is going to the 144,000. So the 144,000 and 1/3 will not, the Most High has commanded that no harm be done to them, so no harm will come to the elect. And then Jeremiah 30, we'll go ahead and get this one and close out. Jeremiah 30 and 7. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. So, it's going to be hell, going to be bodies all over the place, but the elect going to be preserved through it all, and they shall eat too. They won't suffer. So we'll go ahead and get that one real quick. Isaiah 65 and 13. Because, the famine and pestilence is going to happen, but the elect going to eat through it all and be protected from the pestilence and from the fowler, which is the Edomites, so-called white man. Therefore, verse 13, therefore thus saith the Most High Power Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, behold, my servants shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. Behold, my servants shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servants shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed. So they're going the ungodly 2/3 Israelites and all the heathen that have not cared nothing for the Lord, they're all going to be ashamed, and they're going to be hungry, and they won't have the protection from the Lord. But the elect will have protection from the Most High through it all, no matter how bad it looks. They will be protected, and they will eat as well, eat and drink through Yahweh's precious, sacred, holy, righteous, unblemished blood. Blessing them with that anointing. So with that being said, hope this video is edifying. Till next video, I say, Shalom.